So you want to manage time better, but who creates this time for you to manage? Well, you do. How do you create time? You use your energy. If you have the energy for it, you will create the time for it simply by prioritizing. You see, right now, it is your focus on time that is draining your energy. However, what if you switch to consciously using your energy to create your time? Research done at the USC Center for Effective Organizations found that 82% of business leaders aren't working at their ideal energy level. 61% felt that they were working below their best energy level, while 21% felt that they were working above their ideal energy level. The core problem with time management and working longer hours is that time is a finite resource. Energy is a different story. Defined in physics as the capacity to work, energy comes from four main well springs in human beings: the body, emotions, mind, and spirit. In each, energy can be systematically expanded and regularly renewed by establishing specific rituals, behaviors that are intentionally practiced and precisely scheduled, with the goal of making them unconscious and automatic as quickly as possible. Organizations need to shift their emphasis from getting more out of people to investing more in them, so they're motivated and able to bring more of themselves to work every day, to recharge themselves. Individuals need to recognize the cost of energy-depleting behaviors and then take the responsibility for changing them, regardless of the circumstances they are facing. The body, physical energy. It is scarcely news that the inadequate nutrition, exercise, sleep, and rest diminish people's basic energy levels, as well as their ability to manage their emotions and focus their attention. Nonetheless, many do not find ways to practice consistently healthy behaviors given all the other demands in their lives: skipping breakfast, failing to express appreciation to others, struggling to focus on one thing at a time, or spending too little time on activities that give a sense of purpose are counterproductive behaviors. Having them all listed in one place is often uncomfortable, sobering, and galvanizing. Nevertheless, an inventory of one's behaviors must be done in order to raise awareness about how exercise, diet, and sleep practices influence energy levels. It is that first uncomfortable step, and it must be taken. Next come the rituals used for building and renewing physical energy. The emotions, quality of energy. When people are able to control their emotions, they can improve the quality of their energy regardless of the external pressures. To do this, the first must become aware of how we feel in various points during the day and the impact these emotions have on our effectiveness. Most people realize that they tend to perform best when they're feeling positive energy. What they find surprising is that they're not able to perform well or to lead effectively when they're feeling any other way. Confronted with relentless demands and unexpected challenges, people tend to slip into negative emotions, fight or flight mode, often multiple times in a day. They become irritable and impatient, or anxious and insecure. Such states of mind drain people's energy and cause friction in their relationships. Fight or flight emotions also make it impossible to think clearly, logically, and reflectively. What kind of a time do you think one creates in this state of being? What about how does one manage time in this state of being? What space does one occupy in this state of being? So how does one create time to diffuse negative emotions, and can it become a ritual? Deep abdominal breathing is one way to do that. Exhaling slowly for 5 or 6 seconds induces relaxation and recovery, and it turns off the fight or flight response. You already perform rituals that help you relieve stress. However, are they really serving you? The quickest and the easiest way to induce relaxation is prompted by deep inhalation and exhalation. Another powerful ritual that fuels positive emotions is expressing appreciation to others. A practice that seems to be beneficial to both the giver and the receiver. It can take a form of a handwritten note, an email, a call, or a conversation. And the more detailed and specific, the higher the impact. As with all rituals, it is you that will now create both time and space to do this, and it will vastly increase the chances of success. People can also cultivate positive emotions by learning to change the stories they tell themselves about the events in their lives. Often people in conflict cast themselves in a role of a victim, blaming others or external circumstances for their problems. Becoming aware of the difference between the fact and the situation and the way we interpret those facts in a situation can be very powerful in itself. You have a choice about how do you view a given event, and to recognize how powerful the story you tell influences the emotions you feel. You can do this without denying or minimizing the facts. The mind, focus, energy. Many view multitasking as a necessity in the face of all demands they juggle, but it actually undermines productivity. Distractions are costly. A temporary shift in attention from one task to another, stopping to answer an email or take a phone call, for instance, increases the amount of time necessary to finish the primary task by as much as 25%, a phenomenon known as switching time. It is far more effective to fully focus for 90 to 120 minutes, take a true break, and then fully focus on the next activity. This is how you manage time, by managing energy that actually creates both the time and the space. A way to mobilize mental energy is to focus systematically on activities that have the most long-term leverage. Unless people intentionally create time by scheduling time for more challenging work, they tend not to get to it at all or rush through it at the last minute. Perhaps the most effective focus ritual is to identify each night the most important challenge for the next day and make it your very first priority in the morning. The human spirit, energy of meaning and purpose. People tap into the energy of human spirit when their everyday work and activities are consistent with what they value most and with what gives them a sense of meaning and purpose. If the work they're doing really matters to them, they typically feel more positive energy, they focus better, and they demonstrate greater perseverance. Regrettably, the high demands and fast-paced corporate life don't leave much time to pay attention to these issues. And many people don't even recognize meaning and purpose as potential sources of energy. Only once you have experienced the value of the rituals you establish in other dimensions do you start to see that being attentive to your own deeper needs dramatically influences your effectiveness and satisfaction in work. To access the energy of human spirit, people need to clarify priorities and establish accompanying rituals in 3 categories. Doing what they do best and enjoy most at work. Consciously allocating energy and creating time to the areas of their lives, work, family, health, service to others, ones they do deem most important. And living their core values in their daily behaviors. Work to boost your confidence. Drop in confidence often accompanies a failure to optimize your energy. Which one causes the other isn't clear, but taking small steps to improve your confidence can help energize you. One way to do that is to try to learn something new every day without going overboard. Information overload can drain your energy and make you feel overwhelmed. Select specific areas to focus on and take a practical approach. Learn just as much as you need to help you improve you or your business. Monitor your energy levels. We all have different internal rhythms. Some of us are night owls, others shut down after 10 p.m. To find out what time of day your energy levels are at their peak, try setting your smartphone to beep every hour, and then note what you are doing, how your energy is, and what might have affected it. At the end of a week, assess your notes and look for patterns. Don't force it. Once you know your natural energy rhythms, try to honor them. If you experience a 3 p.m. slump every day, for example, trying to power through it will do more harm than good. You won't be working efficiently. Your results will be poor, and you will drain even more energy from your mind and your body. Instead, during slump time, take a walk, do stretches, or even take a power nap for 10 to 20 minutes. The idea is to recharge your energy. Adjust accordingly. You don't have to be a slave to your energy levels. Of course, test different ways of energizing yourself, such as exercising, eating different foods, getting lots of water, sleeping more, to find out what works best for you. Strike a balance. It is important to remember that maximum doesn't mean optimum. When you're bouncing off the walls, you may be at your maximum energy levels, but you're not operating at your optimum productivity. Do not aim to become a non-stop robot. Instead, learn to balance intense productivity with slower, brainless activities or breaks. Stave off boredom. If you are in a slump, boredom can easily set in. Maybe you don't feel like you can take the time off because you are worried about the slump, but you have nothing to do, so you piddle around doing busy work. Now's the time to challenge your brain, learning new skills, seeking out new connections, or planning new moves for you, and you'll soon find your energy revitalizing. Get personal. Don't just talk the talk about energy management, walk the walk. There's a lot of hype about ways to work that are more sustainable and more human-paced, but too many of them are confined to CEOs and elite performers. You do have the freedom to choose your own best use of time, as optimizing energy levels makes it possible for you to create this time and use it now as only you can imagine. Be an energizer. Know what drains you and what sustains you. Pace yourself. Observe yourself and stop judging yourself. Rather, learn about what it is that you do that is not serving you and simply replace it with something that does. Create and practice your own rituals. If you typically manage your time by creating to-do lists, prioritizing tasks, and scheduling dedicated time for each of those activities, you also know how easy it is to get derailed in the course of a normal and ordinary business day. By managing your energy, you can bring your best performance to whatever activity that comes up, whether it is being 100% present in conversations, contributing creative ideas, or fully focusing on a task. You can achieve results that are far superior to the incremental gains you might get from time management techniques. You see, this is more than just an idea. This is science. It is energy that is created and then used in space for an amount of time. So stop focusing on managing time and space. Manage your energy and then use it to create both as only you can imagine. Energy, not time, is the fundamental currency of high performance.